Welcome, Ned.
Welcome, Ben.
And welcome to our audience here. We have Michael Schippel joining us on today's show.
It is the Sunday brunch.
The Sunday brunch with Ben and Ned. Always welcome, and a big thanks to our engineer and producer, Dan, the man, Hutchins.
Yes, thank you, Dan. You know, I want to give just a teaser introduction for Michael Schippel from International Youth of Unity. That's the high school youth group for Unity. We're going to focus on interviewing him in the second half today.
So looking forward to that.
Yes, thank you. Maybe we'll even let him speak during the first half. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. He's a sharp kid. So Ned, what's been on your mind lately? How are we going to start off today's show? What are we talking about?
Well, it's 4th of July weekend. It was the 4th of July. That's today, Sunday. So a couple of days ago, we've had what some would call our most ironic holiday in this nation to celebrate our freedom. A topic of spiritual freedom versus personal freedom has been on my mind. If you have read any Unity type of prayers or the Daily Word or New Thought.
Never. I'm against it.
You may have come across a type of prayer affirmation along the lines of, true freedom is your consciousness. True freedom is in freedom to think and in your thoughts, freedom to be. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful expression, a beautiful idea to remember and to know and to express. And there's what we might call the physical realm or the manifest realm, the human realm, and to consider freedom there. Are those two ideas in conflict with each other? If you want to focus on one, do you need to give up? Why don't I start with that? Because there's lots of directions we could go with this. Do you need to?
Rich topic.
Yeah. Do you need to forsake one for the other?
That is a great question. My experience is that whether or not there is any real freedom in the personal realm, the human realm, the material realm, that's actually a question mark as to how much freedom there is, how much free will do I really have to change or shape or control outer events. I mean, we can talk a good game about freedom, but I'm not really allowed to just go outside and do whatever I please. I would quickly be apprehended by someone in a position of authority and put in a cage, more than likely. Because
of you, Ben. Because what you would please to do is good. If you only wanted to do basic stuff, you wouldn't get any trouble. I'm sorry.
It's true. If only I could be a decent law-abiding citizen, I might not find myself in such a predicament. But I think you see my point there, and that any given person, you're free to an extent. You're free to do what's approved of in this realm. But then, the concept of spiritual liberation, of freedom and consciousness, of course, that is where we do have freedom if we seek it, if we claim it, if we develop it. I think a lot of us spend an awful lot of the time subject or slave to our habitual thinking and not really exercising our true consciousness freedom. But we do have the choice to how we're going to respond to the events that happen outside of us.
This is kind of an ongoing theme for you and me, Ben. The balance, or the intermixing of the absolute realm where everything is perfect, where we are absolutely free and all that need be done is to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
We are pure life, we are pure joy, we are pure love, and the balancing between that and what you might call the relative realm or this human experience, and our desire to change it, to improve it, to solve problems that we experience, to make the world a better place. And kind of getting back to that idea of do you have to choose one or the other? Do I need to meditate and simply focus on becoming totally remembering my oneness, or should I work towards bettering this world the best that I know how? Well, what it keeps coming back to is you don't need to choose. You can do both. You can live and work in this manifest realm with causes, with culture, with people and activities, as well as the oneness of the all of it.
Oh, sure.
And I think that if you can be meditating while helping the whole, like the whole of the world, you can be meditating in any step of life, doing whatever you need to do to create inner freedom and peace in yourself.
Absolutely. That is really, to me, the key in spiritual practice, mindfulness practice. You want to enrich whatever experience you're having, whatever activity you're doing, with the liberation of your consciousness, with being totally present and totally free. In yoga, there's talk of being not attached to the fruits of the action or the outcome of the action,
right,
but just being fully immersed in the doing of whatever it is. And I think what's coming to my mind right now is activism. You mentioned the desire to help people, to make the world a better place. And I mean, we're all aware that there's some injustice and iniquity going around, quite a bit of it, and there's room for people to step in and do good work, and that work is enriched and made more fruitful when we can approach it grounded in the absolute truth and knowing our own spiritual identity, our own spiritual freedom, and beholding that in other people who may not see it or realize it yet for themselves.
Beautiful. A phrase just came to my mind just now that I have just invented. Finding equanimity amidst the inequity. Finding that spiritual place of being all right with it all, being non-attached, and yet striving to make the world a better place.
It's a great book title. We'll have to talk about this after the show.
Finding what is it? What did I just say? I forget it.
Finding equanimity.
Equanimity
in the iniquity,
and it's even within the iniquity, the injustices, or the you can, just because we say we're enlightened or that we have found peace, or what in the Buddhist tradition some might call equanimity, doesn't mean you don't live in this world and work in this world. You can do it both. And yes, like Michael said, that can be your meditation.
Absolutely.
That can be your practice.
Absolutely. I think that is the practice to try and find that freedom in whatever you're doing, because we all have responsibilities. There are things that we have to do. There are things that we feel called to do, to be of service, to help others. And the meditation, the spiritual practice, the inner work is to find our own freedom within that.
Beautiful. Well, we've got that all sorted out.
I'm really glad we were able to put that huge topic to bed in under 8 minutes. It's pretty impressive.
It's all figured out, all done, nothing else to...
I think we may only do 5 or 6 shows, and we may have the whole thing whipped. But, interesting, moving on to a topic that's been on my mind, and I think it's a pretty natural transition, talking about the 4th of July and freedom and independence. Calls to my mind this other concept, this other idea of patriotism. You see fireworks and flags, and you hear the Star-Spangled Banner and America the Beautiful, and everyone, on the 4th of July is proud to be an American, by God. And I have qualms about that. I think it's safe to say. And I brought a quote today that pretty well sums up my attitude on this. And it's by Jiddu Krishnamurti, a wonderful philosopher and teacher.
Say that 10 times fast.
Once is going to have to be enough. Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Wonderful.
You can Google it. although you don't know how to spell it. But the quote goes as follows. When you call yourself an Indian or a Muslim or a Christian or a European or anything else, you are being violent because you are separating yourself from the rest of mankind. And when you separate yourself by belief, by nationality, by tradition, it breeds violence.
That's a heavy quote, man. That is a heavy quote.
It's like 100 pounds.
It is. It's a lot to take in. But what are your thoughts on that, Ned? How do you feel about patriotism? Is it violent to be patriotic?
Well, I love the quote and I love the sentiment. I make a strong distinction about when it comes to the word violence, physical violence versus emotional or spoken. So, and this may come down to semantics of the word, you know. And so maybe just for the sake of clarity, but for me, you have the right to be mean. You have the right to be rude and to say hurtful things to others, but you don't have the right to hit somebody. You don't have the right to initiate aggression or force. So to me, and the word violence refers to physical violence. But that having been said, yes, I totally get this quote, this idea that anytime we classify ourselves and cheer for being because of our religion or because of our nationality, it is separating us. It is drawing that distinction. It's emphasizing that separateness, that otherness, and yeah, that's an act of at least hostility, or if not outright violence.
Michael?
I don't think patriotism is a real thing. I think people want patriotism. I don't think you can actually have it, because you have qualms against your government at any time, and just to drop those qualms and be like, yes, I am a patriot, I love my country, and then on the 5th of July be like, I hate all this healthcare and all that you're not a patriot. You want to be a patriot. There's nobody that truly is a patriot.
So patriotism is more of an ideal than reality. But I think that what Krishnamurti is saying with this quote, and what certainly my thoughts on the subject are, that it is that separation, that I'm an American or a citizen of the United States, and you need to stay on your side of the line. You over there, because you're not one of us.
This line, imaginary line on a map.
Because I have my membership card in the club, and this is members only past this fence, you know. And I think but that separation, and he takes it to religion. It's it's not just about nationality or patriotism. It's anytime you say I'm this as opposed to that. That is the psychological root of violence. That's what makes all conflict possible.
Right.
Because if we all really deeply understood our humanness, our oneness as just being living sentient beings,
right.
If we could see that similarity even with animals and plants and live from that place of oneness, how could we have conflicts?
This quote reminds me of a bit from Doug Stanhope. Do you know the comedian Doug Stanhope?
I'm familiar. I'm a fan.
Yes. If you Google or YouTube search for Doug Stanhope on nationalism, he does this 5-minute bit. It's hilarious. He says this idea, he uses the word nationalism, but I think it's pretty much akin to this idea of, our team is the best.
Woo-hoo! Go team, go.
All it does is make you hate people you don't know and take credit for things you had nothing to do with. He uses the example of like your buddy talking to you, and, oh, damn, those French people, they're lucky we saved their asses back in the world wars. And
it was we.
We did that? I don't remember doing that. You did that? I remember us going out and getting drunk over the weekend, but I don't remember us saving the French. So we kind of this idea of who is the we? Who is this that we are? We identify because we're part of this club, like you said. We hold the right papers, or we happen to be born on this side of a line.
Well, yeah, there's a lot there regarding freedom and patriotism and belief systems and the question of who we are. And we're going to take a look at more of that after this short break.
All right. Welcome back to the Sunday Brunch with Ned and Ben. See what I did that time? I switched us.
I got that. I like it.
We have with us Michael Schippel. How old are you, Michael?
14 now.
14. Just finished freshman year of...
I'm about to start freshman year.
About to start freshman year of high school. And somehow he's already been pretty active in the International Youth of Unity, IYOU, the high school age group. I remember, I've known Michael for a long time, since he was a little kid, since he was just like 5'10". Just a little guy. friends with you and your mom. So thank you for agreeing to be here with us today.
No problem.
Well, should we talk about your healing, your miraculous healing?
Why not?
You want to tell us a little bit about the story?
Tell us the story. What happened to you?
I was in a car accident on May 1st, and I broke my neck, my ribs. I fractured 3 vertebrae in my lower back, and I had a traumatic brain injury, a moderate traumatic brain injury. So it was...
That's pretty serious.
Rather serious, yes.
And that was May 1st. Right now it's July 6th.
Yep.
So what is that, 3 months? May, June, 2 months.
It's 2 months.
And you're up and about, you're walking around, you have a neck brace on, which isn't...
neck brace.
Which you still have, you have mobility in your neck, you can move around a little bit. Don't go too crazy on us.
I'll go as crazy as I choose, okay?
You look quite healthy. That, to me,
he's demonstrating, a pretty incredible amount of health and movement and quite a healing journey you've been on the last couple of months, Michael. How did that come about? Tell us how you went from being on an operating table to being here today in the last 2 months.
Well, I was on the operating table, and then I was in intensive care for 4 days, and I was in the regular hospital for 3 days, and they were like, this kid doesn't need to be here anymore. So they sent me to inpatient rehab, which sucks.
Not a fan of the inpatient rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because my brain injury healed rather quickly.
Mine hasn't yet, but that's a whole nother story.
And after the brain injury healed, it was me sitting there doing 2 + 2 math problems and only having physical therapy for an hour a day, which wasn't good for me because my brain injury had already subsided and I was in a brain injury assisted living facility. And after that had happened, I was sitting there with people older than me by decades, and those old people,
Gee.
and nobody my age.
Well,
so I was just there.
Michael, so far this story sucks.
Yeah.
We wanted to hear about how wonderful and great this healing process was, but so far
I'm gonna tell you,
pretty miserable.
Let's put a positive spin on this thing.
I'm putting the spin on it. You didn't let me get to the spin. You didn't let me get to the spin. Okay. So the spin comes when they tell me I'm getting out. I was supposed to be in that place for 2 months. I was there for 2 weeks. I cut my time in a fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I had J.D. Messinger, who wrote what book did he write? 11 Days in May. And we were just chilling, and I fell asleep because the brain injury was still there at that time. But
J.D. Messenger also had a a broken neck
Yes.
and a miraculous healing from that, and he has promoted that and goes around sharing about that. So you had a special visit, you and your mother, right there in your
My
hospital room. So that's pretty cool. Were you awake did you have a good conversation with him? Or?
Yes. We had a conversation, and then he told me he was going to begin energy healing, and then when he started, I fell asleep because there was nobody talking, and I didn't have anything to keep me awake, and I was on a lot of sedatives.
Pretty trippy.
Yeah.
But he was there. And who else came to visit you and part of your support?
My YOU group was the best part of the injury. My YOU group was there for me. Like, I don't even know how to explain how honored I felt just to have them as friends, and how honored I still feel is to have them as friends.
Not to take away from modern medicine or anything like that, and certainly God bless the doctors and the surgeons who were there for you when you needed them, but how much of your healing do you attribute to prayer support and kind of spiritual healing?
Most of it.
Yeah.
I don't really... I mean, they told me I would still be... they thought I was still going to be having a brain injury when I left, when I was in the rehab place for the whole 2 months. I got over that in a week and a half. They told me my neck was going to be terrible. I wasn't going to be able to be moving for that 2 months, and I'm moving. My brain has healed. I mean, as much as it's going to. I'm a little crazy no matter what, but I mean,
that's why you're on the show. We don't invite sane people.
Did you feel people praying for you? Because there was your YOU group, there was people out here at Unity Village.
There's people in Dallas.
Dallas. I was praying for you the hardest. I just was wondering if you felt that my prayers were the ones that were really working.
They were the ones that were really getting down into the bone.
The angel delivered a handwritten note from Love Ned.
Love Ned. But would you say you could feel that energy, that support?
Yes. Sometimes when I was just really down and I was scared, I could just feel like people picking me up, and I felt I was always feeling something in my heart, knowing that I was getting healing. I was healing because I had people in El Paso and Dallas and Grapevine in Colorado, all of the South Central Region YOU, people at the village, the prayer ministries in all those South Central YOU churches.
Fantastic. That's the kind of heartwarming stuff we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Not to censor you.
You really saved it there, Michael. Thank you.
I think we might move on to the YOU stuff coming up. Anything else about this before we do?
I really want to know about your YOU experiences and what it's been like to grow up in the Unity movement, and how big a part of your life has that been?
Unity has probably been the biggest part of my life since forever. I remember in kindergarten, I was talking to somebody, and I was like, but God is everywhere, and God is in all of us. We're all children of God. And he was confused because he was Catholic, and
not something they promote a whole lot
No.
in some circles. Yeah.
And I was in El Paso, so there was a lot of Catholic people.
So you're saying your belief in the oneness, you got in a lot of fights with kids?
I got in a lot of arguments with kids. I've been in a couple fights, slammed their face into the
You're a big guy.
cement.
In the name of
Oh my
oneness.
goodness.
In the name of the oneness.
Brotherly love, you must. Wow. And so now we have IYOU Week just starting here at Unity Village.
So excited.
So high schoolers coming in from all over the country.
All over the country. Some from Canada, I hear.
Wow. Speaking of that patriotism, they come right over the border there.
They do. Like it's not even there.
It's not
Like
even-
we're all
just
one.
come through Montana.
And this is going to be your first week-long with YOU?
I was at a 4-day rally last month, which was one of the most amazing things, or probably the most amazing week of my life. I made so many strong bonds with people. I lost my voice. It was so fun and so crazy. I mean, it's so much how you think of, like, if you're going there and you're like, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to have fun, everything is going to go exactly how it needs to, it's going to be the best time ever. You just have to let it flow, and it's the best experience ever.
What were some of your favorite activities or things to do?
Favorite activities?
Or least favorite?
My least favorite activities are... I don't have least favorite activities.
All right.
That's good.
My favorite activity...
That's an endorsement if I ever heard
there. Boom.
Yeah. My favorite activities was, at the last one, it was this meditation, and it was a very hard meditation because it was showing how vulnerable you are, and it was basically, we were trapped in like a lamp, and every time it started, we just stood up and we hit our head, and we just heard all this loud reverberating noise, and we were vulnerable to everything, and we couldn't do anything, and then eventually we came out of this lamp as just a wisp of smoke, and you realize you had been stuck in a lamp for so long, and all the light you see and the people you hear, it's a shock to the senses, and you feel so vulnerable, and it was terrible and wonderful, but mostly wonderful. It was scary, but amazing.
What do you expect to be doing this week at the IYOU week-long conference here at Unity Village?
I am expecting to do the impossible, because it's called Mission Possible, because everything is possible. The end. Period.
It's even right there in the word. I'm possible.
Wow. That is cool. Also the word possible. You just used the letter M a lot.
Possible.
Fun with the English language, folks.
So you're going to get your family groups,
Family groups are fun. We have you have a family group of people that you don't know, and you just go and you share, and you have lessons kind of, and I forgot. How could I forget to mention Heart Talk?
Heart Talk.
Heart Talk.
Tell us
you
about
ever
the
heard
Heart
of Heart Talk?
I know nothing of Heart Talk.
I have done some work with the YOU. I'd love to hear you describe the Heart Talks.
Heart Talks are talks from your heart, I guess you could say.
That makes sense. I'm with you so far.
Should. When you have Heart Talks, it's all confidential. It all stays, it's Vegas rules. What happens in the room stays in the room.
Yes.
And you just talk about things that you need to get off your chest. And it's a healing experience.
What I like about is people don't offer advice. You might share something that's troubling you, and people aren't there to correct, to give you the answer, to give you the solution. They're just there to listen. And then you often there's a
little heart.
Yeah, maybe a cushy heart or something to pass to the next person, the talking stick. And they can pass if they want to, and you just keep going, share what's on your heart, on your mind, until you pass all the way around and nobody, everyone...
3 times around, nobody says anything. So if anybody's uncomfortable the first time and they just need to get it off their chest, they have time to...
It's beautiful. It's a really safe space. And I'm sure this whole week is going to be that safe space. You're waiting for your chapter, your group to make it here, right?
My group is going to make it here tonight. I'm in Dallas, YOU, which is one of the biggest YOUs in South Central region. We have 18-ish people, but only, I don't know how many of us are coming, but it's not all 18. And
shout out to them.
Shout out to Alex and Dave and Nicole and Susan and shout out to Susan. Send love and light and energy to her because she fell today.
Well, definitely, Susan. Much love to you, and we know that you're healing and recovering quite nicely.
Amen. Amen. And the sponsors?
That was Dave and Susan.
Oh, all right, good. Yes,
cool.
Each of them. And going to make it a fantastic week.
Fantastic week.
Well, this has been Sunday Brunch with Ben and Ned. We want to thank our guest today, Michael Schippel.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show today, Michael. You've been a great
problem.
guest.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.
You're a great guy, and
Thank you.
I think we'd like to have him back, right?
I'd love to have him back.
I'm available next week, and then I'm available the week after that.
All right.
We'll work out a time.
And thank you, our producer, Dan.
And thank you to the listeners, people tuning in. Much love to you. And this has been a great show.
Peace.
Peace.